That is right. There is no messing around as the Philadelphia Union are looking to get a home win. It's been 6 straight without a win here. And we want to welcome everyone to today's edition of PHLY Union Podcast. Of course, I'm your host here today, JP Zapata, joined as always with my lovely co-host, Renee Washington. And we are joined today, our correspondent from South Florida, from Miami, Inter Miami. Please welcome from the Heron's Nest, Alex Windley. Alex, what's going on? It's good seeing you.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on in. Awesome stuff, Alex. So listen, we got to start it off, Alex. So I go on Twitter this morning, right? And I'm already excited about the summer soccer that was, but then Alex, I see this bad boy. Look at this beautiful calendar. All this soccer we are about to have this upcoming summer. Renee, Alex, it's a beautiful summer for soccer fans here.
Yes, it is. Honestly, it's great to see for the game itself, the way that it's been honestly taking the world by storm. We already appreciate the beauty of that is soccer, but to have all these international games, the overlap of the schedule is not ideal, but it does for soccer fans provide them plenty of opportunities. We're talking Copa America, Olympics, all the different international games, friendlies, opportunities to watch your favorite players. So I think from a fan perspective, just a pure soccer fan perspective, this is what you love. It's a chance to be able to see so many different, you get to see your players with their club team, then they're with their national team, then they're, you're traveling all over. But for the teams and the players themselves, it's a lot in store. But I will say this feels like this summer could be a really big launching point for soccer, especially in the United States.
Yeah, and to your point, with the World Cup coming up in about 2 years, which is crazy to think. 2 years in our own backyard. Yeah, 2 years in our own backyard. Like you said, this summer will be that launching point, with Copa America and even the Euros. The summer of soccer is alive and well, and I'm just really excited to experience it and cover some, and I think it'll be a real good time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So let's focus a little bit here about the squad that you cover, Alex. Inter Miami Club de Fútbol. All right. So it's been a year now since the Messi announcement was shown to the whole entire world here. And I'll be honest, I remember even when you guys came up here for Leagues Cup, which was a terrible match for us, great for you guys, but I just remember the atmosphere. Alex, I saw so many pink shirts, so many Barca shirts, so many Argentina shirts, and some of these people couldn't even name 5 players on Inter Miami squad. The impact Messi's had to soccer, the soccer culture here in America, has been absolutely wild. I know it's crazy. It's Messi, right? The expectations high, but has he even exceeded those expectations of what you thought the impact would be here in the United States?
Honestly, yeah, maybe I was a little naive. It's Messi, Ballon d'Or winner, but covering this live, it still feels really surreal. Messi's playing in MLS and he's playing at Inter Miami. It doesn't feel real. Like you said, I don't want to be that Messi person and say fans who can't name 3 players. I get them. There's some teams in Europe I follow solely for favorite players I have, but it just feels like it's surreal. I don't have any words for it. Messi has done so much for Inter Miami. He brought the Leagues Cup trophy. Inter, they're still top of the East right now. I don't know how long that'll last with Copa America around, but yeah, just the hype surrounding it. Even bringing in Suarez, Busquets, Alba. It's crazy. There's no words for it, and the fact that he's still here for another year and a half. It's just a privilege to be able to cover and to see where this club will develop in time.
I think the key that you mentioned there, Alex, is it's okay if people can't name 3 players. It's okay if people are solely just Messi fans. I know it's hard, JP. You're one of those fans that's a diehard, passionate day one fan. But in sports, there's always the wide range of types of fans. There are some that just like a team because of their colors, or where they're located, or like there's somebody cute on the team or good looking on the team. Like there's so many different types of fans
I'm
out there.
guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah. There are some, I have some moments myself, but I will say there are so many different types of fans, and part of growing the game is reaching all the fans, even the casual fan. And there might be somebody, like I've always been a huge Messi fan, and he's one of the guys that I will follow him with whatever team he's on. So I understand that. I think there's value in that. And I do see now, like the other day I was driving down the street and I saw two kids playing outside, kicking a soccer ball, and one was wearing a Messi jersey. And I loved it because, first of all, the kids outside, I know, JP, we talked about you saw a kid at the park with doing the same thing.
Yeah, the Phillies watch party
is a win. Playing is also a win. And then also to see them like being able to wear a Messi jersey, because in this country, soccer hasn't been that. It's been that way in the rest of the world, but you don't have people just outside kicking around, playing pickup, screaming like Messi or Daniel Gazdag, like whatever. We need more of that, the same way that you scream like Kobe or MJ or whoever.
The Daniel Gazdag stray is making me laugh.
That's me. That's well, it's funny because the other day I was walking my dog in my neighborhood. There was a gentleman with a pink Inter Miami Messi jersey, and I didn't know. I was like, you know what? Nice shirt, man. Have a great day. Like what else am I supposed to say?
Exactly. What has been the way, or what has been a change that you've seen? I feel like when Messi first came to the MLS and for Inter Miami, but for the entire league, everybody was just captivated, and it was that pinch me moment, like this is surreal. And I wonder now, has it flattened out? Have things become quote unquote the norm? I've seen the Lay's commercials he's in. He's doing more like sponsorships and endorsements, and he's more active, I feel like, than ever. But it does start to feel like we've accepted and just been okay now with like, this is the norm. Messi is in the MLS.
Right.
I love that.
So, Alex, let's focus real quick about the team that is Inter Miami, right? Because you guys obviously top heavy. I mean, you guys have some of the best players, even in La Liga history, right? But the depth was a concern last year. Obviously, before Messi got there, I think you guys were dead last in the MLS or dead last in the Eastern Conference. Mm-hmm. So, is that concern with depth still there here in 2024?
In a sense, I think it's better. I think this season the defense, it sounds absurd to say, but because they do give up some goals, but the defense is better than what we saw last season, I will say. Under Phil Neville, the team was rough. I'm not gonna lie. Phil Neville is a great guy. I've talked to him multiple times. He's a super nice guy, but maybe his coaching style wasn't what the team needed. And obviously, now with Messi here, Tata Martino, the club's gone in a different direction, and now it's definitely top heavy, and it's gotten to the point where Inter Miami can go down a goal in the first 10 minutes of a game, and most fans are of course they're upset that they conceded, but most fans are comfortable saying, okay, with the amount of attacking talent that this team has, they will get a goal or two or three back because we're the team's so top heavy with Messi, even Matias Rojas, Campana, who's going to step into that number 9 role now that Suarez is off with Uruguay for the Copa America. And I'm intrigued to see if Campana can go and consistently lead that line. So I think last season it was definitely rough, but now the attack obviously hard carries, and obviously with Nico Freire out for the season with a knee injury, Miami have been linked with a couple of center backs already, Gaston Silva from Puebla, and even Rafael Varane, who's a free agent leaving Manchester United. So let's see how that goes. Fabrizio Romano did say that nothing concrete has happened. It's just preliminary talks. But as of right now, Miami are definitely in for a defender, and hopefully they can get that across the line before the rest of the season kicks off. And hopefully they can, keep that consistency going in that Supporters' Shield race.
It is interesting because I feel like you've seen the adjustments that Miami has made defensively to do a better job of, holding opponents to one goal, getting a clean sheet. The Union, on the other hand, have done the opposite, where they've been trending in the wrong direction defensively, giving up a lot of goals. And as you mentioned, even when you brought up giving up the early goal, the Union have consistently, unfortunately, given up early goals. And when they concede that first goal, sometimes lately it's led to that second or even a third goal, Seattle game. where now they're playing catch up and then getting going and then playing well. And that has been unfortunately an Achilles heel for this team. But now looking at this matchup, I'm interested because as you mentioned, for Inter Miami, they haven't struggled when down. It's been, okay, down a goal, let's go, tightening things up. But it feels like their depth and their defense has definitely been tested and has improved. You mentioned someone like Leonardo Campana or Sergio Busquets, who of course will still be there without, with the international overlap. They still have a lot of key pieces. Like, as much as people want to talk about Luis Suarez and Messi not being there, this team is still very good. What have you seen in terms of improvement from the defensive side and the depth side for this group? Because those were the two areas I remember even saying, like, I think that's a weakness of theirs. I think they can be susceptible in transition, but it seems like they've really tightened things up. And as you mentioned, they're still searching, which makes me even more nervous.
Yeah, and you'd be right. There are times even this season where Miami gets killed in transition against pacey teams. I think of the match they played against Sporting Kansas City, where they were just beat multiple times for pace. And, with the aging, oldish, midfield with Busquets and Jordi Alba at left back, like, Busquets he runs a lot, but he's very slow. But he can put in a tackle once he gets a player in front of them. But defensively as well, you have guys like Sergei Kristoff, Toto Avilas, who can be quick-ish, but they're still maybe a little bit slow off of the acceleration. That could be difficult for Miami. And Drake Callender, who's in goal most of the time, to defend because, you have defenders in front of you that are maybe not the quickest. So like you said, Renee, I think the key, especially during the early parts of the season, the key to Miami maybe not conceding as much was Mico Freire, who unfortunately is out for the season, and someone like a Federico Redondo, who he runs a lot and he's quite quick, and he's a pretty tall guy as well. He's basically a Busquets light, but he's a lot quicker, a lot younger, obviously. And when they're on the field, when Federico is fully fit, I should say, a lot of Miami's defensive mistakes in transition, they're able to get snapped up pretty quickly with Redondo on the pitch, because he's just that type of player who will cover lots of ground. Additionally, someone like a Diego Gomez, who is also injured, and he has been injured for weeks. The injury bug has really hit Miami as of late. And someone like a Diego Gomez, who can cover lots of ground. He's very quick. He's very a box-crashing, box-to-box midfielder. That helps as well. But going into these summer months with Copa America, like you said, there are a lot of key pieces still there. Campana, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba will still be there. Even Robert Taylor, who is often the forgotten name in this quadrant of Suarez, Messi, Busquets, Alba. Robert Taylor can get some goals as well. Even he's gone as far as to say, I remember in a press conference after a match, he was asked about Finland and his national team, and he gave his 100% commitment to Inter Miami, which has really endeared him to the fans. So I think Miami, well, of course, it'll be a struggle without their main creator Messi being there, but you have Campana, Robert Taylor, Jordi Alba has 3 goals for a left back this season, which Miami shouldn't be relying on him to score goals, but it's kind of absurd how much he does in attack. But I think Miami will be okay, maybe not as offensively prolific, but I think they'll be solid, I should say.
Well, Alex, soon, I want to talk about Julian Carranza in just a second, but soon, if he goes, we might have to rely on our left back to score some goals as well. So
he's linked to Feyenoord, I believe, which is really cool.
Yeah. So obviously big for Inter Miami as well, because a percentage of that sale will also go back to Inter Miami. But, you've now seen him 3 seasons here in Philly. Kind of just talk about what you've seen from afar from Julian Carranza. The debate right now is what's his level, right? Should he be playing at a Feyenoord? Should he be playing at a top 4 or 5 league in Europe? What's your assessment of Julian Carranza in his 3 seasons with Philly?
For one, I will say when Miami traded him, I was not disappointed. It was more so like a missed opportunity for the club, because even though when he was here under Diego Alonso, I think he was just misused because Gonzalo Higuain was here, and Julian had to fall to like second in the depth chart, and he didn't get a lot of playing time. But when he did play, he looked hungry, and even though he wasn't necessarily scoring, he was going to get goals somehow. So when Miami traded him to Philly, I think a lot of fans were at the time. I think a lot of fans were just like, okay, we need the cap space, yada yada yada. Goodbye, Julian. But now seeing him with the Union and how he was able to just flourish there. It made my heart so warm because he was one of the players that I really wanted to succeed at Inter Miami, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. So to see him linked to Feyenoord, which is a good solid club in Europe, and continue his career there, I'm really ecstatic for that. Personally, I'm a bit biased. I'd love to see him in Italy with other there's a lot of U.S. men's national team players playing in Italy, and I watch it often. So
I agree.
Yeah, maybe going to Italy would have been like a Tati Castellanos, who's at Lazio at the moment. I think that would be probably a better move for Julian. But yeah, if he goes to Feyenoord or maybe even a Spanish club, I don't know. But wherever he lands, he's going to score goals because he's just that type of player, very tenacious and terrifyingly good in the final third. So wherever he goes, he's going to be a fantastic player.
Yeah, it is great to see how he's been able to step into this role as the leader of this team. And, as you mentioned, like he wasn't getting that same opportunity with Inter Miami, and you could just see the maturity, but also the way he's embraced that challenge of really having to be the leading goal scorer and the, a guy that the offense is running through for the Union. And it's a shame that we even have to have these conversations because we all knew it was going to come. This is unfortunately where the league still is at, so that guys not only are moving from team to team, but team to a different league.
Yeah.
And that's the frustration point of a team like the Union that, you finally feel like you found a good chemistry and a good offense that's gelling. And you're talking about possibly losing one of your top scorers. But on the other side for Inter Miami, I'm curious to know offensively, what do you expect them to look like? What are your thoughts on the matchup in terms of what Inter Miami is going to be rolling out with? I know we had a chance to hear from head coach Jim Curtin today. For those tuning in, as of the moment that we're having this conversation, we heard from him early Thursday, and he was saying the same things that we've all been talking about. Like, regardless, this is a really good Inter Miami team. Doesn't matter who's on the pitch. They're a dangerous team. What can we expect on the pitch for Inter Miami in terms of their offensive makeup and how they're going to tactically look to play?
Yeah, I think Miami will continue to do what they've been doing all season. They'll look to possess the ball. They'll look to maybe shift the Union around, try to find those openings, trying to play that, I don't want to say tiki-taka, but like the one-touch football through the middle. Maybe they'll switch it up a bit and play through the wings through Jordi Alba. I know he's very offensively potent, but I think they'll roll out in a 4-3-3. Nothing too crazy, and I think they'll just look to maybe shift the Union from side to side, looking for those openings. It'll be a dangerous game for Miami if the Union are able to stretch the pitch a lot and just get Inter Miami in transition. I think that's where I see the Union winning the game. Definitely, if they're able to get Busquets out of that pocket that he likes to sit in and get the center backs stretched apart from their partner. But yeah, I think it'll be a good competitive game. Inter Miami will obviously look to, after that 3-3 draw against St. Louis a couple weeks ago, I think they'll be looking to get a win and to continue that run at the top of the East. So yeah, it's wait and see mode. I know Tata likes to throw an occasional curveball, but I do think it'll be largely consistent in a 4-3-3, and it'll be intriguing to see how who actually starts in the front three, because I know Matias Rojas is gone, Messi's gone, no Suarez, so it'll definitely be Robert Taylor, Campana, but who's going to play on that right wing? We shall see.
That's definitely concerning for me because, I'm not sure if you're aware, Alex, but we haven't won a home match in our last 6. So we're trying not to make it 7 this upcoming Saturday. And so you're bringing up some interesting things. So, Jim actually did bring up Sergio Busquets in the presser. Without Daniel Gazdag, that's going to be the challenge, right? Like, how do you move Sergio out of position and try to find those pockets in there? And then just that possession that Miami plays with. Like, my concern is that, okay, if Miami's heavily possessing, is that like the green light for the Union to kind of just sit back and park the buses a little bit and, try to find that point? And that's really what I don't want. I want to see an aggressive Union because you're coming off of a bye week and you are going up against a Miami without Messi and Suarez, which is still a solid team. But, I mean, this is the advantage you want to take, try to get all 3 points as best as you can. So it is going to be interesting to see how the Union will come out and attack here against Inter Miami. So real quick, I was curious about your thoughts because you did bring up Phil Neville from last season. Tata Martino. Alex, I have so many high words to say about Tata. Obviously, he won in this league. What's the main difference between Phil and Tata, though, in your honest opinion?
Oh, man. First I'll be petty and say Tata doesn't really speak a lot of English, which makes my job a little bit difficult. I know some Spanish, but most of the time I rely on translation. But that's the main difference, which I don't mind. I'm learning Spanish anyway. But as far as coaching goes, I think Phil wanted to implement his style. Like, for instance, if you see him up there in Portland, he plays a pretty strict, semi-strict 4-2-3-1. Sometimes he'll switch into a back three, and that's what he tried to do at Inter Miami, but he just didn't have the personnel to maybe play with wing backs or have that double pivot in midfield when Phil was down here. But with Tata, I think he's very fluid in his setups. He'll have set principles that the team has to follow, but in regards to attacking passing patterns and attacking sequences, he's very fluid in that regard. So a lot of the times you'll see him coach through the midfield and the defensive set, but in terms of like attacking patterns, most of the time it's, hey, you guys are very smart players, I'm going to have you figure it out on your own. And that's how most of Inter Miami's goals is I don't want to say improvisation, but most of the time it's just, hey, we're playing fluid soccer, and if you're in the correct space, I don't care if you're a center back or a fullback or a midfielder. If you're running into the final third, if you're Messi, he's going to find you, Jordi, Busquets, what have you. It doesn't matter what player or position you play. If you're there, someone's going to be in that attacking spot regardless. So, and I think that's where Miami's midfield, especially with Diego Gomez or Federico Redondo, David Ruiz, Benjamin Kramaski, they're really good at finding those third runs into the final third. So the team's quite fluid under Tata, whereas Neville was a little bit more strict, and maybe the personnel wasn't there. But under Tata, he's a lot more fluid, and he likes the players to figure it out on their own. Defensively, it's definitely a lot more strict. But in attack, it's, hey, you guys are some of the best players in the world. You're good at this. Go figure it out. And if you need help, I'll bring on someone like a Leo Alfonso who has that pace to maybe switch it up a little bit. But it's really quite fluid football, I should say.
And that makes me nervous. So because listen, you are talking about the fluidity of their attack, being a bit more creative, having the green light to go. You mentioned just playing that quick possession to combine through the midfield. On the other side of the Union, because of the red card picked up in their last league game, even though it feels like it's been a long time ago since the Union didn't play last weekend, Jack Elliott will not be at center back for the Union Saturday. So because of that, there has been the question with Damian Lowe away with the Jamaican national team, what the back line's even going to look like. It's Jakob Glesnes, who's actually been struggling the most out of the three center backs that usually play there, and probably going to be paired with either Nate Herriel, who might slide into the center back role instead of outside back, or even somebody like Olwefi Makanya, who was mentioned, that's been doing well with Union too. So the Union already have been struggling defensively, and to make it even more challenging, they're of course missing key pieces. Andre Blake's still not in net, injured, but also would be with the Jamaican national team anyways. So Oliver Zemla gets to go. No center back. Through the midfield, it's going to be a lot more on the Jack McGlynns, Quinn Sullivans, especially without Daniel Gazdag. So it's going to be a really challenging defensive matchup for the Union, especially as you're talking about how Miami likes to play, because if they can't find that width, that spacing, and do a good job of maintaining possession, it could be a lot of chasing. And it sounds like a lot of heavy attacks they're going to be under pressure with. So I always like to ask, and I'm curious, Alex, what is your prediction on this match? What do you anticipate in terms of a score and an outcome for how this one's going to go down? Because, of course, it's next man up mentality for both teams, but it feels like the next player mentality for Inter Miami is a little bit less of a lift than it is right now for the Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, I hate doing predictions because I'm so bad at it, but I want it to be a competitive game because I really respect the Union and how they're able to just build out their academy. That's something that Inter Miami wants to do, and then they're trying to do. And I think they've done a pretty good job at it, but I really respect the Union. So I just hope it's a good, fair game between both sides. I know if you guys remember that I think it was Higuain's one of his first games in MLS where I think he missed a penalty and
yeah. Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
The two teams got into it, and I was just laughing because it's just funny. But
The joke was,
yeah,
does Higuain know about Chester at all during
yeah.
the first one? Has he even heard of Chester, Pennsylvania?
It's crazy because he still lives in Miami and he shows up to games sometimes. So it's
awesome.
just funny. He's a funny guy, but yeah, I really respect the Union. So I hope it's a great game. I from what you guys are saying, the Union are pretty skint in regards to players and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it's just a competitive game from both sides. I'm gonna say a 2-2 draw because as of late, oh yeah, Miami defensively, they've just been leaking goals and you know, with Nico Frede out, and until they get a new defender, it's gonna be suspect to them conceding. So I'm gonna say a 2-2 draw. I don't know if you guys want goal scorers, but I'll say Robert Taylor and Leo Campana get on the score sheet. Excuse me. But yeah, I think it'll be a competitive, really fun game. Hopefully the teams give it their all because I think at the end of the day, when two MLS teams play really well, it's better for the league. So I just hope it's a really fun game and both teams can put on a show and hopefully get their meet their objectives that they want to and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, no, Alex. I mean, like obviously, like you and I have talked over the past couple of years, and this is definitely a different Union team. Like they're struggling. Like this is not. It's a lot of things that we haven't seen with the Union in like the last 5 years. So it is a little bit interesting. I'll give you my predictions, but one point I want to bring up here for the U is that listen, after the bye week, that bye week came at a crucial point because these next 2 weeks are extremely crucial. So you're going up against the first place team in Inter Miami in the East and the second place team in the East in FC Cincinnati. The Union are in 8th place right now. Like we talked about, they're not in great form before that bye week. So these 2 weeks are extremely crucial. And it's only June too, which is not something we want to say, but it is going to be big. I want to believe the Union are, after bye weeks, typically Jim and his analytical staff and his coach staff get together and come up with a game plan. I want to believe that they came together and just de-stressed, right? And then looked at it from a different angle and came up with some adjustments, but we're going to have to wait and see. I will say the Union snap out of it. I think they'll get a 2-1 victory here on Saturday. I think that we're gonna find some guys to step up. Uwa, this is your chance. You know, Renee knows me and Uwa and our relationship. It's hot and cold. But this is your moment. I mean, dude, this is going to be your moment to shine. We'll see what Hooley's status will be. Jim did say he has been training. I'm not sure how fit that ankle is, but we'll have to wait and see. But I have a 2-1 victory for the Union.
So, unfortunately, I'm just like making sure I have my numbers correctly. Last time the Union had a bye was after drawing Atlanta 2-2 back in April. And since then, in the 9 games that they've played, they've won just the 1 game against New England and have obviously just struggled, to say the least, because they dropped their first game, the Real Salt Lake, following a bye, and then continued to lose.
That started all.
So I'm not going to look, rest or rust is a real thing and a real conversation in sports. I do think this time, though, we should get an opposite reaction. I feel like because of the amount of changes that they're going to have, it's going to be a lot of young guys. It's going to be guys getting more minutes. We saw that spark happen for the Union when they played against Portland earlier this season. I'm expecting a similar type of like, nothing to lose, just go out there and play mentality, and they might surprise. I still do think they're going to drop this game, unfortunately, but I feel like it's going to be like a 2-1. So I like your prediction of 2-2, Alex, because I could see this being a back and forth, very close game. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get the equalizer or even to maintain. I do see this being like a 2-1 loss, but I feel like it's going to be, I hate saying this because I don't like losing, a good loss. You know, I think it's going to be like a hard fought, you know, a lot of positives, a lot to take away from it. That's going to leave us feeling much better about the last loss they had coming off a bye. That was also 2-1 against RSL back in April. So fingers crossed, though, because as you mentioned, JP, there's definitely a lot going on here, a lot of changes. Has not been good for the team, but hopefully this can be a chance to, with no expectation, go out and play and maybe surprise us a little bit this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Alex, listen, we really appreciate your time again. You do a fantastic job of covering Inter Miami. Obviously, listen, your fan base is not just Inter Miami. You have now a whole group of Messi fans too. So let people know if they are interested in Inter Miami or Messi's team, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on X now, on X.
Still weird. Still weird.
Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at AAW_1998. I have my Substack, The Heron's Nest. I just opened up what's it called? Like notes, so I can or chat. So if you guys have any questions or concerns or banter about Inter Miami, just send it over, and I'm usually quick to respond. I also write for Bleacher Report on occasion, covering the U.S. men's national team, women's team, occasional European football, and all that good stuff. If you're interested in my ramblings over there, so yeah.
No, definitely. You know, we're always supporting you, Alex. So we definitely love the work here. Thank you so much to Alex. Thank you so much to you guys for tuning on in. We'll be back next week for a live show. We'll be recapping this Inter Miami match, and who knows, maybe Carranza gets sold off. We'll find out. We'll see. But for Renee Washington, I am JP Zapata. Thank you so much again for tuning on in, and as always, Dupe on, ladies and gentlemen.